Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So do you guys remember once upon a time, not all that long ago, when we had 9 planets in our solar system? 9! That's how I grew up, and I'm sure that's how you grew up. I also remember growing up remembering the order of the planets with this mnemonic device. My very educated mother just served us 9 pizzas, which when you take away the pizzas, as we did in 2006, doesn't really work anymore. So this mnemonic device became, my very educated mother just served us nachos, which I don't hate, also fairly easy to remember, but what if we were used to pizza? Okay, this intro is getting very elaborate. You guys are like, Marian, just spit it out already. So what I'm talking about is Pluto, which is the topic of today's video. Because it was a planet. It was the 9th planet for the longest time. And then all of a sudden in 2006, it wasn't anymore. But now there is a movement afront to reinstate Pluto as a planet. And this movement has the backing of one NASA administrator, Jared Isaacman. So for today's video, let's figure out what's going on here. Is Pluto going to be a planet again? Why was it demoted in the first place? And why does any of this matter? Well, let's get into it. So to start with, let's get into a quick little history of Pluto. Pluto was discovered by American astronomer Clyde Tombaugh in 1930 at an observatory in Flagstaff, Arizona. Tombaugh, raised in Kansas in a farming family, had a childhood fascination with space, which is something I just love thinking about. How someone who was born decades before the space race and around the late 1930s is fascinated by space. Just, you love to hear it. Anyway, he was about to embark on a career building telescopes when a magazine article about Mars alerted him to the scientists working at the Lowell Observatory in Flagstaff. Within months after arriving, according to the observatory, Tombaugh took over the search for Planet X and found Pluto by examining photographic plates with a machine called a blink comparator. But while he is credited as discovering Pluto, he didn't actually name the planet. The name Pluto was actually suggested by an 11-year-old girl. In 1930, Venetia Burney of Oxford, England, suggested to her grandfather that this new planet that was recently discovered be named for the Roman god of the underworld. He forwarded the name to the Lowell Observatory, and it was actually selected. So for more than 70 years, it was considered the solar system's 9th and most distant planet. In 2006, however, the International Astronomical Union, or IAU, which defines and names celestial bodies, announced a new definition for planet, which saw Pluto booted from that classification. According to the IAU's 2006 decision, a celestial body must fulfill 3 criteria to be considered a planet: orbit the sun, have enough mass and gravity to pull itself into a round shape, and clear the area surrounding its orbit from other debris. And this last requirement is what got Pluto booted from the clubhouse. It was now categorized as a dwarf planet, which was a new class established by the organization in 2006. And part of the ruling stemmed from the 2005 discovery of Eris, an astronomical body with more mass than Pluto, once poised to become the solar system's 10th planet. And with this updated guidance, Eris was also dubbed a dwarf planet. The change was meant to reflect a modern understanding of planetary systems, but the IAU's decision was, and still is, kind of contentious. David Grinspoon, an astrobiologist at the Planetary Science Institute, told Nature, "Many of us feel that the word planet should be defined by the intrinsic properties of a body, not by its dynamical environment. If suddenly the Earth was surrounded by a swarm of small objects, as it was for the first several 100 million years of its existence, would it no longer be a planet? This seems silly." And for some, this definition of a planet could be problematic in ways unrelated to Pluto. For example, the criterion of orbiting the sun, which just refers to our solar system star, means that the only official planets in the universe are Earth and its 7 neighbors. All others are technically exoplanets. Philip Metzger, a planetary scientist at the University of Central Florida, said in a 2018 statement, "It's a sloppy definition. They didn't say what they meant by clearing their orbit. If you take that literally, then there are no planets because no planet clears its orbit." Metzger led a review of scientific literature published over the last 200 years and found just one publication that mentioned the orbit clearing requirement when categorizing planets. He and his co-authors argue that this new definition is not supported by past research. In 2024, 3 planetary scientists proposed making the definition of planet more quantifiable. And this new proposed definition is super specific. They argue that a body is a planet if it orbits one or more stars, stellar remnants, or brown dwarfs, and has a mass between 10 to the 23rd kilograms, enough to clear its orbit of debris, and 2.5 times 10 to the 28th kilograms, or 13 times the mass of Jupiter. However, notably, Pluto is still not massive enough to meet these criteria. So that led some scientists to think that it's right that Pluto is not considered a planet. Catherine Cesarski, an astronomer and former IAU president, said, "I believe that the decision taken by the IAU was the correct one. Pluto is very different from the 8 solar system planets, and it would have been very difficult to keep changing the number of solar system planets as more massive objects beyond Neptune were being discovered." So why are we even still talking about this? I mean, all of this happened like 20 years ago. Well, because on April 28th, 2026, during a Senate hearing about the proposed NASA budget cuts, NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman said that he was very much in the camp of make Pluto a planet again. Isaacman said during the hearing, "I would say we are doing some papers right now on, I think, a position that we would love to escalate through the scientific community to revisit this discussion and ensure that Clyde Tombaugh gets the credit he received once and rightfully deserves to receive again." David Castelvecchi at Nature reports that it's unclear which papers Isaacman is referencing, and NASA did not respond to further request for clarification. In a March interview with the Daily Mail, Isaacman cited Pluto's uniquely American origins, saying, "I think we owe it to everyone from Kansas and all their great contributions to astronomy and aerospace to rightfully restore that discovery to a planet." So I'm not sure if Isaacman is basing this opinion on Pluto on yet another idea of criteria for what being a planet is, or if he's basing it on something else entirely. And for many, it's Pluto's complexity that frankly makes it planet-worthy. Pluto possesses complex geological features such as mountains, glaciers, and a potential subsurface ocean, indicating it is a scientifically active world rather than just a dead rock. So I'm not really sure where this is going to go from here, and to be perfectly honest, I don't know if I have strong feelings one way or the other. I mean, I remember thinking in 2006, like, what? You can't just say a planet's not a planet anymore after 70 years? What do you mean? But also, if it doesn't fit 2 different criteria sets for being a planet, then maybe it's not? But what do you guys think? I mean, is Tombaugh's discovery any less significant if Pluto is a dwarf planet rather than a planet? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Though I did prefer that mnemonic device to be 9 pizzas rather than nachos, even though nachos is easier. I think I just got used to pizza. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And as always, I will see you in the next video.